I was in a coffee shop looking through the want ads when I read, Macy's, Herald Square, largest store in the world, has big opportunities for fun-loving, outgoing people of all shapes and sizes who want more than just a holiday job. Being an elf at Macy's Santaland means being at the center of the excitement. I circled the ad and laughed out loud. The guy sitting next to me turned on his stool, checking to see if I was a lunatic, because, I continued to laugh quietly until the bill came, and I remembered that I don't have a job. Funny how you can forget a thing like that. I brought the ad home, and my roommate Rusty and I laughed about it, and he dared me to call for an interview. So, I did. The lady at Macy's asked, "Would you be interested in a full-time elf or weekend and evening elf?" I said, "Full-time elf? I have an appointment next Wednesday at noon. I'm a 33-year-old man applying for a job as an elf." I'm trying to look on the bright side, okay? I arrived in New York 3 weeks ago with high hopes. Hopes that have been challenged. In my imagination, I'd go straight from Penn Station to the offices of One Life to Live, where I'd drop my bags off and spruce up before going out for drinks with my new celebrity friends. Victoria Buchanan, the show's greatest star, would lift her frosted glass in my direction and say, "Everyone, people, please, may I have your attention? I'd like to propose a toast to Clint." "Sit down, darling, this isn't about you." "I'd like to propose a toast to our friend David, the newest member of our television family. Welcome to Landview." I'd say, "You guys, cut it out." Vicky would lay her hand over mine and say that I'd better get used to being the center of attention. But instead, I'm applying for a job as an elf. Even worse than applying is the very real possibility that I will not get hired, that I couldn't even find work as an elf. That's when you know you're a failure. In order to become an elf, I filled out 10 pages of forms, took a multiple-choice personality test, underwent 2 interviews, and submitted urine for a drug test. The first interview was general, designed to eliminate the obvious sociopaths. During the second interview, we were asked why we wanted to be elves, which, when you think about it, is a fairly tough question. I listened as the woman ahead of me, a former waitress, answered the question saying, I really want to be an elf because I think it's about acting. And before this, I worked in a restaurant which was run by this really wonderful woman who had a dream to open a restaurant. And it made me realize that it's really, really important to have a dream. Everything this woman said, every phrase and sentence was punctuated with a question mark, and the interviewer never raised an eyebrow. When it was my turn, I explained that I wanted to be an elf because it was one of the most frightening career opportunities I had ever come across. The interviewer raised her face from my application and said, "And?" I'm certain I failed the drug test. My urine had roaches and stems floating in it, but still, they called me back for another round of questioning. I met with the 2 head managers for a brief interview when they asked questions related to my interests and hobbies. I can't recall my exact words, but somewhere along the line, I expressed an interest in whittling. In truth, the only thing I've ever whittled was a bong. I was just searching for something elf-like and figured I'd pull it off when they sent me downstairs to fill out a series of tax forms. Afterwards, I was sent into this holding pen where I took a seat next to a female dwarf. This, I thought, was a good sign. Today was elf dress rehearsal. Today was elf dress rehearsal. The woman in charge of costuming assigned us our outfits and then gave us a lecture on keeping things clean. She held up a calendar and said, "Ladies, you know what this is. Use it. I've scraped enough blood out from the crotches of elf knickers to last me the rest of my life. And don't tell me I don't wear underpants. I am a dancer. You're not a dancer. If you were a real dancer, you wouldn't be here. You're an elf, and you're gonna wear panties like an elf." Elves have gotten to know each other over the past few days of training, but once we took off our clothes and put on the uniform, everything changed. This was really going to happen. My uniform is green. I wear red and white striped tights, a yellow turtleneck, a forest green velvet smock, and a perky little stocking cap decorated with spangles. This is my work uniform. Today was the official opening day of Santaland. Now, on any given day, you can be an entrance elf, a water cooler elf, bridge elf, train elf, maze elf, island elf, magic window elf, emergency exit elf, counter elf, magic tree elf, pointer elf, Santa elf, photo elf, usher elf, cash register elf, runner elf, or exit elf. I worked as a magic window elf. Now, I had worked at the magic window for 15 minutes before this man approached me and said, "You look fucking stupid." I have to admit, he had a point. But still, I wanted to say that, at least I get paid to look stupid. He just gives it away for free. But I can't say things like that because I'm supposed to be married. So instead, I said, "Thank you." "Thank you." Like I had misunderstood and thought he had said, "You look terrific." "Thank you." He was a brawny, wise guy in a vinyl jacket and carrying a bag from Radio Shack. What I should have said real loud was, "Sorry, man, I don't date other guys." But, all we sell in Santaland are photos. So it is Santaland policy to take pictures of every child, which the parent can either order or refuse. And people are allowed to bring their own cameras, video recorders, whatever. It is the multimedia groups that exhaust me. Parents bent over with equipment, relentless in their quest for documentation. During these visits, the children are rarely allowed to discuss their desires with Santa. They're too busy being art-directed by the parents. "All right, let's get a shot of Anthony, Damascus, Teresa, Doug, Amy, Paul, and Vanity. Can we squeeze them all together? Hey, Santa, how about you let Doug sit up on your shoulder? Can we do that? Huh? Hey, Vanity and Damascus, look over here. Look over here. Hey, Santa, how about you? Can you put your arm around Amy and shake hands with Doug at the same time? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's nice." When the shift ended, Randy was replaced by a Santa I'd never worked with before. Usually the guy's name is written on the water cups they keep hidden in the toy shelf. I looked on the cup and saw no name. It was early evening, and we were too busy to pause for an introduction. Noting a group of visitors huddled upon his doorstep, my Santa began to sing. "A pretty girl is like a melody The parents and children entered the room, and noting the young girl, Santa held his gloved hand to his chest and fell back upon his cushion, faking a massive heart attack. He moaned for a few moments before saying, "Elf, elf, are you there?" "Yes, Santa, I'm here." "Elf, I just had a dream that I was seated before the most beautiful girl in the world. She was right here, in my house." Then I say, "It wasn't a dream, Santa. Open your eyes, my friend. She's standing before you, right this moment." Santa rubbed his eyes. "Oh, heavenly day," he said. "You are the most beautiful girl I have seen in 617 years. Then he scooped her up in his lap and flattered every aspect of her character. The child was delirious, the center of attention. Santa then gestured towards the child's mother, asking, "Is that your sister I see standing in the corner?" "No, that's my mother, silly." Santa called the woman close and asked if she had been a good mother. "Do you tell your daughter that you love her? Do you tell her every day?" The mother blushed, saying, "I try, Santa." "And you, sir, step forward." The father shuffled to Santa's feet. "What do you do besides make money? If I were lucky enough to have young Kathleen as my daughter, I'd kiss her forehead 10 times a day and thank her for bringing such joy into my life. Let me see you do that. It would mean a lot to me." The father kissed his daughter's forehead. Santa ended the visit saying, "Remember, the most important thing is to try and love other people as much as they love you." The great thing about this Santa is that he never even asked what the children wanted. He tailored his reception to each specific group. The main thing was that he made them feel welcome and relaxed enough to drop their guard and submit to his idea of Christmas. Me, I can go any old way. I mean, if you want to hustle them along, then I will be your sheepdog, herding them in one door and out the other. If you want to make fun of them, I'm one step ahead of you. This, though, it threw me completely, because I'm not a good person, and never have been. Before this evening, I'd never even been accidentally mistaken for a good person. But suddenly, I was good by association. Families left grabbing my hand and thanking me. These were grown men and women, crying like little babies on the night before Christmas. My plane was set to leave at 8 o'clock, and I stayed until the very last moment. It was with reservation that I reported to the manager, telling her I had to leave. And oh, suddenly I loved this woman. I mean, she raised her voice to me a few times, but that had been directed at the old me. I felt certain that she would recognize the change, and together we would share a special moment. Maybe we'd cry for a moment or two, and surely I'd be left with the kind of warmth a person can hold in their hearts forever. I'd stuck it out and expected she might want to place my cap in the Elfin Hall of Fame. I searched the room for her and joined her behind the counter where she was talking to a customer. I touched her arm and said, "I have to go now." She laid her hand on my shoulder, squeezed it gently, and continued her conversation, saying, "Don't tell the store manager I called you a bitch. Tell him I called you a fucking bitch, because that's exactly what you are. Now get out of my sight before I do something we both regret." The customer fled, and me, I was one step ahead of her.